Hell Teacher Jigoku Sensei Nube Episode 2. So, I do like that this anime released the first two episodes back to back. Really makes it captivate the audience with a nice cliffhanger, and then getting the second episode, which involves a lot more action based kind of episode. So, I like that it kicks off right where it left off with Hiroshi being detained by this, we know, Joko. Uh, and Kyoko once again tries to intervene and she gets tossed aside. Typical. She. It seems like Kyoko's going to be one of those characters that just is always going to try to get involved despite the dangers that it is involved with the situation. And luckily for her, Nube was able to catch her and instantly goes to try to rescue Hiroshi. And we do get to understand a little bit more about the Nube's arm, which is like I do believe they said that he sealed one of the demons in his left arm to help him fight off other demons. So really cool a way to have like a demonic power within and stuff. And as soon as he catches up to this Yoko who wants to perform this humanification ritual to allow him to transform into an actual human, I would assume there is quite a bit. They say that there's quite a bit of requirements to do this ritual, which is one, they have to find a human skull that's perfectly sized to theirs, and two, they have to have lived for a few centuries in order to be able to perform such ritual. And so this Yoko kind of found Hiroshi out of the blue and has since then been keeping eyes on him. And in fact, he is the one that made Hiroshi get the spirit within him that was causing him to injure and get angry and stuff. So we finally learn who caused it in this episode, and Nube tries to prevent all this from happening, but he gets a bit caught off guard as this Yoko has this ability to to have illusion powers. So he ends up tricking Nube to that he had completely fallen off and had injured Hiroshi, but instead it was just an actual like cat, and tiger was involved. He saw a tiger go at him. It's really interesting because Nube notices, okay, well, his illusion powers kind of work on anything that moves. So anything that moves is gonna give off a different illusion, which it was just gonna make it a lot more harder for him to find the actual Hiroshi. So he starts seeing like the patterns that this Joker was doing, and he comes to realize like, okay, well, I just have to follow this pattern that he has set out, and I'll be able to find his location. And he does find it, but it was all thanks to Kyoko once again, who shows up, and because he has no idea how to get to the certain location that he needed to go, Kyoko kind of uses his phone and puts it in the GPS. So I do like that it has this kind of like balance between the sensei and how his weakness is kind of technology. So although he's very powerful when it comes to being aware of how to use current technology, he's pretty much a caveman per se. And we get to once again Yoko and Hiroshi, the Yoko and Hiroshi as he's performing the ritual. Right before he gets to it, Nube shows up again, and it's like, okay, well, you're kind of intruding in what I need to do, so I kind of do have to take care of you now. So the Yoko and Nube are gonna start fighting, but first of all, they have this really great great animation of how Hiroshi was technically stuck in a clock, and the clock just cut his head off. But it turned out to be another illusion power. So right off the bat, we have Nube already in the back foot with this Yoko being able to trick him with his illusion power, and now he was fighting not only against time, but also he's fighting an opponent that's so much more stronger. Not so much more stronger, but at least a bit stronger than him. And he is getting hit after hit. Not and it's really outstanding how much punishment Nube can take. He does end up finding getting Hiroshi back. After Hiroshi kind of like breaks away from the paralyzation spell that he was under, and that's when the real like fight begins. And the fight and animation was like really, really well done. I do think this was such a better showing of the anime. A lot better than definitely the first episode was more so just introducing the characters, and this one was like a bit more action. So I really enjoyed that, and I do like that even though Nube had the power of the demon hand, the Yoko was still like, oh, I am stronger, but he still was surprised at the kind of like sudden burst of power that Nube would acquire when using this demon hand. And he ended up beating the Yoko in the end, but he didn't do it alone because Hiroshi and Kyoko kind of turned on this magnet that allowed enough time for Nube to end up beating this Yoko as he got distracted by his weapon and all the other stuff he was throwing at him to go towards the magnet. And I do like that there was like a sense of, oh, you're actually quite strong. Can I get your name? And so Nube tells him his name, and it's like, well, until we meet again. And yeah, that's how they ended up wrapping that first monster. And I do like that in this episode kind of just solidified that Hiroshi was coming to understand his teacher, and he learned a lesson of like trusting and really getting to know his teacher's character. So he ended up saying that, yeah, this is my teacher and he's like the best. So I do like that they have this sort of relationship, like a sensei and student bond already forming. I love that. This kind of reminds me of how the great teacher Sasuke also was with the students, where he learned to appreciate his students and learn to get closer to his students so that they can form a stronger connection with one another. I'm just really, really impressed with this anime. So this episode, I think I'm gonna give it a 8 out of 10.